Yeah.
The next top story is housing prices are not high by any historical standard. This is from Scoresby. 33 comments, 1,055 sats. Keyan, what's this?
Yeah, I guess Voskuil shared his thoughts on the housing market, and they're kind of interesting because they run contrary to how many people either discuss the housing market or feel about the housing market. And basically, what he said is that housing prices are not high, and he has some justifications for thinking that. Um, Basically, he thinks that uh, I've, he represents like a point of view I've seen several times on the economy, either like wealth inequality or this housing price issue, is where no, it's just that millennials and Zoomers are extra whiny, and actually everything is fine. It's about as good as it ever has been, or better, and they're just extra whiny. And so he has some rough data to back that up. Um, Basically saying one line of reasoning, although he doesn't explicitly say it, but someone who shares his point of view shared at one point was that houses are bigger and the quality of the houses are better, and our expectations are that we have bigger and higher quality houses, and that's why they're expensive. But if you like compare apples to apples, they're not actually more expensive. Like we were okay having smaller homes with, crappier like situation in general. Um, we'd have the same outcomes as previous generations. Anyway, so this is kind of what this is all about. Is like our housing prices elevated? Is it a bad time to buy a house? Uh, or is Voskuil right? And it's like it's the same decision. Making that decision today is you should make it the same way you would have made it uh, decades ago. And there's a lot of discussion in the comments. I thought it was one of the
Yeah.
highlights of this post is in the comments, because we have a simple stacker kind of helping use like I guess articulating his intuition about how he would deconstruct Voskuil's argument, having a lot of experience as an economist thinking about these kinds of things, and um, like Voskuil using averages to kind of explain his argument, or these I guess what are called quality adjustments, and how like sloppy they are when used in any capacity. It's hard to price quality, really, I think. Yeah. And then, lots of back and forth. Of course, Undisciplined chimes in as another economist, runs the econ territory. And yeah, a good discussion ensues. So if you want to get in the nitty gritty of this, but what do you think? Do you think housing prices are higher?
I think
You're not a homeowner, right?
no, but I think what's interesting is that I mean, when I was everybody knows my story, but like there was a time where we were going to purchase a house, right? Like it was right at 20 in 2020, 2019. So that was a thing that we were going to go and do. Um, so this was like I guess it was like right before the bubble, right? So that was a thing that was definitely happening. Um,
Well, the bubble still hasn't popped, I don't think.
but I feel like in Austin, there's always like a we always feel it last, or it always just levels off, and it's just different here in Austin for whatever reason.
The bubble didn't pop in 2008 here.
No, I just maybe I just wasn't paying attention at that time, but I just feel like it's not the same like everywhere else. Maybe that's just a feeling. I don't know, but what I'm trying to say to get back to this post is like um, I think just relative to this post, I think just if we're just speaking from a millennial perspective, I think I think I think the average millennial probably put off a lot of this stuff like marriage and put off a lot of home ownership it till their 30s because I know me and my ex didn't really look at it till our 30s. We didn't
Mm.
really start saving till our 30s, if that made any sense. Maybe whether that was right or wrong, we didn't start looking at that till our 30s. And I don't know if that was just because we didn't really start our lives till our 30s, basically, because we were just goofing off in our 20s. So I don't know what that says about myself or, my generation. Obviously, I'm speaking for myself, but um, so there's that. So could I have seen myself as a homeowner? Yes. Things would have turned out different. Yes, honestly. So I think there is a point to what Voskuil's saying that, you know, but I also see what Ovi. So Ovi's saying right here. I think Ovi is right. Like he says, 30 years ago, I was covering my rent, utilities in 3 days, and I think that is true too. Because when I was when I was in my when I was like 20 or something, um, yeah, I was working at the mall and like like not barely making anything,
Mm.
and still going to school and like covering my rent and
Yeah.
utilities and stuff. So there's something to be said about that.
Mm.
So, but this was in Corpus though. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I was with my girlfriend, so that's kind of different. Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's a different time for sure. But we obviously weren't looking for a house back then.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. We obviously weren't saving either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
So
remember my only run-in with possibly owning a home was like around, I think it was like 2007, but I was a grocery clerk working part-time as a grocery clerk. I couldn't get a full-time
yeah.
as a grocery clerk, and I was looking for a place to rent because I was living behind a motel for a long time, and I think I was looking for a new place to rent, see if I could afford anything. And one of the realtors there was like, "You should buy a house," and I'm
Mhm.
like, "But I work part-time as a grocery clerk." And she's like, "Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how much money you make. You could get a house." And
Yeah.
I was like, "You are full of crap, lady." I didn't tell her that, but that was my one experience with that. I think, if I were to like try to get into both school side of this, which I like instinctively disagree with, I would say that um, it's maybe that millennials and Zoomers are spending their money on a lot of other things, which is maybe causing them to have less income that they could spare for a house.
Hmm.
Like I think about all like the services and stuff and
Yeah.
subscriptions that people have, and that might be what is eating into their ability to afford homes, and it
Right.
might cause the impression that they don't have enough money to buy a home. I'm not sure though. That I do get the sense that it's a big decision for millennials and Zoomers to make to buy a home. And in the past, it seemed kind of like a no-brainer and an easy
Right.
decision that past generations made. So that's
Right. I,
that's just
I
a
I
feel.
do see and this is maybe just me speaking my own book though. I do see this next bull run leading to more citadels getting built. So I do see a pathway for Bitcoiners like coming together to build citadels that offset some of these costs. So I could see like a citadel being built in somewhere USA, and then plots of land being divvied up, and then home is being built on these plots of land for for houses and stuff like that. I can see that happening, which will offset a lot of these costs that we're talking about for home ownership. So I can see that definitely happening amongst a small group. So I think that'll help with home ownership and like all the stuff that comes into that.
I don't think we've seen a lot of citadels so far.
Well,
I'm actually
ones
skeptical of the concept.
ones that aren't shared publicly, but I've heard of ones privately though. At
Uh,
least at least at least maybe about two, three I can think of that I've heard, but I don't. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about on the podcast.
yeah. Well, I haven't heard about any of them, and so I'm skeptical. Especially, I'm not skeptical of like an individual or a family buying a property, defending it well. I am skeptical of like the commune types of citadels that we hear about, where Bitcoiners are like, yeah, we're all like not whole coiners, but we're going to come together and we're going to buy a bunch of land together and live on it and sort of have a commune.
It's out there. It's done already. Like there's, I'll tell you after the pod, there's like at least two that I've seen. I haven't seen personally seen, but I've seen and heard from.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it is there's a reason it's a dream, because I think it is a very healthy.
I think if you find aligned principles and aligned morals and, you know, strong lines, I think that can actually happen.
Oh, yeah. Until I see it, I think I'm concerned that I'm deluding myself into thinking that kind of thing will happen. And so that's why I'm skeptical of it.
It's like any neighborhood, really, if you think about it. It's like any type of neighborhood that you would live in.
Yeah, but most people I know haven't made a neighborhood before. And so that's where I get skeptical. It's like it's kind of coming together, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of work to make a neighborhood.
Yeah, but
So,
to have something that's beautiful like that, it requires that type of thought and care and intention.
people have to sacrifice.
Yeah, it's mostly sacrifice. Yeah.
Usually on the part of a few people.
It's either that or you go out and pay those type of prices.
I don't know. I kind of don't mind pods, like
Pods.
yeah, I actually don't.
Yeah, I mean, so
It might be a
it's either what we're talking about or what I'm talking about, or live in a pod and eat bugs and insects and fight off.
You could eat steak and live in a
I mean, you could,
We'll
but
talk about that
you're gonna
a
be
little
paying
bit.
up the
My top story.
yeah.
Big story this week.
So I mean, these are the choices that you have, and what's the saying? You live and die by your choices.
But I mean, you could switch from one pod to the other pod. Maybe you don't
Sure.
like a pod in that part of town. Maybe
Sure.
the roaches, the bugs you're eating aren't that good. In that part of town.
I mean, life really is just a series of choices.
That's a great point. That is true.